Okay, I had a question. Somebody wrote to me and said, "Hello, John. I had a question that has been raised in me as I've been going into the mystery throughout my day. I go between my role in the illusion and into the mystery during my day. Before, I used to only play my roles and act in ways people thought of me because I was afraid of people thinking poorly of me and of my roles. That's what my mind thought I was. Now I play my part because that is my role in the illusion. Now that I see it, I can really play it. It really is play. I slip into the role I play with the other. Roles as boy, son, helper, student, leader, annoying driver, tired person, slacker, etc. Yet when I catch it or notice it, I can go into the mystery being above and all of that outside of the roles. Of course, I find myself lost in the roles, thinking I am these roles, but I can gently guide myself back to the mystery. To what balance should one stay in the mystery or play part in the roles? Can one play their role fully and also stay in the mystery? How do you handle it? Thank you for helping me in my journey. Everything is blooming. I've learned a lot in the past few months from the awareness, consciousness practice you have shared." Well, that's great. I'm so glad everything is blooming. I love getting emails like this. So it's a good question. And the short answer is both at the same time. You can be both in the mystery very deeply and fully involved in existence and fully involved in the roles as this person describes them. The idea of separation really comes from our mind, because understanding our mind doesn't really understand the mystery. It can never experience it. Not that we don't want it to, but as I've said before in meditation, it's like we go into a room. The mystery is like going into a room, and my mind cannot get into that room. It's not that I don't want it to, but it's like a force field on the threshold, and it's like it just disappears. My mind just disappears. That's why my mind doesn't register time. It's why I'm not that big on meditation as we must become good meditators. I don't care about that. I do care about the mystery, and I do care about growth in consciousness. So the ideas and the concepts around the mystery, even the word the mystery, that's just something I came up with because I couldn't think of anything else to say, because it is a bit of a mystery to me, and yet I know it, but I know it in a part of me that's not my mind, and that's hard for my mind to get its head around or to understand, because my mind thinks it's me, just like I'm sure your mind thinks it's you. So the thing about sort of seeing that existence is an illusion, it's really important to ground that all the time, because your mind it feels pretty solid, but it's actually quite fragile, and it's not that hard to fragment your mind. That's why people can go and go on retreats or do things, and they can go into a sort of psychosis where it's clinically it'd be described as psychosis or something along those lines. But really what's happened is their mind has fractured. Their mind has kind of actually got it, that it's not a real thing, and that the presence behind the mind, or the thing that animates the person's life, is the actual reality of the person. And that can be very unsettling and disorienting for the mind. So you've got to be very careful with your mental health and how your mind stays together, and that you handhold your mind into these realizations and these awarenesses. And this idea of, am I in the mystery, am I in the existence, both exist at the same time. Somebody else asked me a very similar question during the week, and the way I described it to them was, it would be like standing beside me, and we're both very interested in what's going on in front of us. There's all sorts of farm equipment, and machinery and people and things, and it's just very captivating. And then I might say to you, you see that windmill on the far hill there? And you sort of look up and you go, oh yeah, I can see the windmill on the far hill. What's going on in front of us hasn't stopped. It's still, the farm machinery is still going, the people are still going. But now you're also including the windmill in the distance. And you can kind of go back and forth between the two, or somewhere in the middle, and both exist at the same time. The windmill in the distance and all the interesting stuff that's going on in front of you. And that's kind of the way it is with the mystery. When you become aware of the mystery, or you gain knowledge of the mystery, it's like you're aware of the windmill on the hill. It's not like I'm either looking at the windmill or I'm looking at what's in front of me. You can hold both together simultaneously. But that can take a while, because it would be like if you had spent your whole life just looking at no further than 10 meters in front of you. Your eyes would be set into this focal length. And to see something in the distance would be quite hard, you know. I used to see this training people for craniopsychotherapy. Because in order to do craniopsychotherapy, you have to be very still on the inside, because initially you're trying to feel with your hands a very subtle rhythm in the person's body. This is the craniopsychal rhythm. So it would be like me explaining to you about the cardiac pulse, you know, and saying, you know, it kind of goes this speed, it feels like this, put your hands on the person's wrist. I mean, even that's tricky enough, and feel it, or maybe under here you might feel it, and, you know, combination of being told about it and what you feel in your hands, you go, oh yeah, I can feel that now. It's very similar. The craniopsychal rhythm moves in a certain way, has a certain speed, and it's much harder to feel. So when we start, it's all very quiet. The room, you know, even if there's, you know, 20 or 30 people in the class, it's all very quiet. The person is lying down, and the person is putting their hands on them, and they're very earnestly, you know, tuning in. And it takes a while. It takes a long time to be able to feel it, and to feel it in a useful kind of way. Initially, it can just feel like something that you get little glimpses of it. Then over time, it gets clearer and clearer and clearer. And after about a year, students would be like, yep, I think I've pretty much got this craniopsychal rhythm thing down pretty, so, you know. Actually, it was a little bit longer than a year. And then we'd start to work with children or younger people or babies. And all the confidence would go out the window, because it was very hard to feel it in something that was moving. So if you're trying to work with a 2 or 3-year-old and they are just rolling around the floor and pushing your hand away and sticking their finger up your nose and doing all the things that 3-year-olds do, it's, you know, it's not still, it's not peaceful, it's not calm, it's mayhem. But you can't kind of say, oh, like, I can't do it. Can you hold your child down, please, you know, to the parent? That's not going to work, you know, because you have to get a natural sense of what the rhythm is doing and what the person's system is doing. There's a lot more to it than just the rhythm. So they go, you know, students go through this very difficult process of quickening, where they have to be able to be very still on the inside, as still as they were when they were working on adults who were lying down very quietly in the camp, to being very still on the inside while there's chaos going on, because sometimes kids can scream and shout as they're releasing things, and it can be a lot of activity. So it's kind of similar. They learn to be very still on the inside while engaged in something very dynamic externally. And the mystery, being conscious of the mystery, always kind of reminds me of that it's, you know, possible to be very conscious of the mystery, the windmill on the horizon, and be very engaged in what you're doing. And that's why when we're doing the Space for the Mystery on Mondays, and if you don't know what that is, I do 2 sessions on Mondays, every Monday, where we meditate together. And by meditate, I mean we go into the mystery together, because there's power in doing it in a group. And always, as you come out of it, or come out of what would be called meditation, there's a lot of power to be gained in that process of how you come out of it. Because what my mind will do is go, oh God, meditation, I hate meditation. Okay, still so boring. Even after whatever, 30 plus years, it still finds it really boring. So what my mind would like to do would be, it's almost like my mind is holding its breath for 15 minutes. Because I only really advocate 15 minutes. I wouldn't do it much more than that. But do it many times during the day. Because I always want to ground what I'm doing in existence. I want to help my mental health stay nice and intact. So, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours of meditation, you go into an altered kind of place, and it's very much harder to kind of keep your the coherence in your mind. Anyway, my mind would like to go, okay, 15 minutes, all right, I can put up with this for 15 minutes. And then at the end of the 15 minutes, when my little timer goes off to say, okay, that's 15 minutes, my mind would like to go, great, okay, that's over, thank God. Back to the momentum, back into it, back into existence. Forget about all that stillness stuff, forget about all that mystery stuff. Let's get back to, being stressed about that email. Let's get back to all that stuff, So what I encourage everyone to do is to try and have the smoothest transition between where they are in their inner state at the end of their 15 minutes of being in the mystery and opening their eyes. So I try and encourage people not to punctuate it at all, not to put a full stop at the end of the meditation, to allow it to transition and to just include vision in it. So they're as deeply inside themselves as they could be. They're in the mystery or wherever they are at the end of the 15 minutes. And then I encourage people to register where they are before they open their eyes. Just like I'd take a little reference photo of it or something like that. It's not a photo, not a visual, but just this is the way I am. And then to open their eyes and to register what impact that has on their inner state. And often it's a feeling of being pulled forward, and then to kind of close their eyes again and go, oh, okay, I felt like I'd been pulled out into existence, but no, it's still here. I'm still in connection, I'm still, present in the way I was before. And then they open their eyes again, and they get pulled forward again, maybe, but not as much. And then they keep opening and closing their eyes to balance in the inner state and the outer state. And what we're heading for is being able to be as still as you were, or to be in the mystery in the way that you were, with your eyes fully open, still present, and seeing that, I don't need to think as much as I thought I did. And my mind doesn't need to grind back in the way that I thought it did. And that it's almost like each time you go into the mystery, you bring a little bit more of it with you into existence, so that you can be very still while you're anxious. You can be very still while you're talking to the postman. You can be very still while all the thoughts are going on. You can see them going on. It's a little bit like, if you see in those Star Wars movies where they go to one of the very built-up planets and all the cars are flying overhead, that's what the kind of thoughts look like. You can you're seeing them going by, very, very still. So that both the windmill on the horizon, or the mystery, and all the interesting stuff that's in front of you, you can hold it all. Because part of the mystery is seeing what you're not, which is your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, all these things, and getting glimpses of what you are, which is this presence that holds it, this container that holds the whole thing. Nothing to speak of, yet everything. So, I hope that helps. I hope that clears it up. Both. As I say, short answer, both. Hold both at the same time.